So you want to learn how to study other works of fiction so you can enhance your own writing and be the
very best, like no one ever was.
Well, hot damn! You came to the right place. I'm Matt the Creative, a guy who spent hundreds of hours studying writing, fiction, and just the writing process in general. And I'm also a guy who just really likes watching a lot of TV, anime, and movies and books. And because of that, I've learned some amazing lessons on what makes a story work. And I've gained a critical eye onto how these things work. So today I'm going to show you how to study fiction for your writing purposes. Now, there are a couple crucial things that I'm looking for in particular when I'm trying to study a story. And it's about 5 things specifically. And when you have a good understanding of these core concepts, I truly believe that you'll have all the tools that are necessary to see through any story like myself, yours truly.
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's the MVP! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
So let's start off more basic than a white girl, and let's take a look at character. Now, any creative worth their salt knows that whether the protagonist is good or bad makes or breaks the story. However, there's more nuance to a character than, is the character good or bad? First of all, characters are largely defined by the other things around them, like the environment they grew up in, the other characters around them, and even like other factors like, do they actually change throughout the story? But I think the big one is, how do these characters actually go about trying to get what they want within the story? And that right there is number 1, and it beautifully transitions into the next step. And the first question I have for you. Oh yeah, nigga, pep up. It's time to use your brain. You ain't just gonna sit here and click on one of my videos and consume like some TikTok brain-rotted fool. This ain't the video. Now, out of all characters outside your protagonist, who is the most important? The opponent. But why? What's so special about the opponent? And it's because the opponent is more often than not the central driver of conflict in your story. And without conflict, you're gonna have the most bland ass. Actually, you won't even really have a story to begin with, if we're gonna even be honest here. It's that crucial. Hell, the opponent doesn't even have to be an actual person. It just needs to make your protagonist's life hard. Real hard. Like harder than mine. So that's number 2. You need to be looking at the conflict of the story. Is it actually pushing the character? Is the conflict in alliance with the messaging of the story? Messaging. Oh yeah, does this story have any type of messaging at all? Is there any type of theme in the story? Is the story trying to say anything at all? Now, a story doesn't necessarily need to have some deeper hidden truth underneath. But in my personal opinion, the best stories always do. Like, the best stories always say something about the human experience, about a truth of life. As when stories do this, they transcend and become something greater than just a story. Like the original Godzilla film was about the horrors of nuclear war. It was made like shortly after the Hiroshima bombing. And that right there's the third aspect to be looking for. Like, what does the story have to say? But again, stories don't necessarily have to have something deeper to say. Like, if you like, I love Bleach. Bleach is an amazing show. It's one of the big 3 anime. But if you asked me what Bleach is about on a deeper level and put a gun up to my head, shit, I'm about to go see Jesus a little early, because I'm cooked. But not as cooked as you would be if you were in a Hellraiser film. Oh man. Oh man, you'd just be so fucked. Yeah, but speaking of fucked, here's another question for you. What is outside of the characters is another way that you can define your character in very unique ways? The setting. where they are from, the jobs they've had, the cultural norms they grew up around, and many, many more. The way the setting is used within the story is honestly critical. Like, now if this is some fantasy or sci-fi story, it's pretty obvious. Like, half of writing those stories anyway is world building, if we gonna be honest. But in stories that have a more modern background, this is probably one of the more slept on aspects of the story. Like, I genuinely cannot express to you how powerful your setting can be, as it can be a representative of your character's arc in the theme of the story as a whole. Like, so ask yourself, how is the story utilized in this utilize its environment to drive the story and give it life, especially for stories in our modern world? And that was step 4. We're making some good progress. Now, I've touched on character, setting, conflict, and theme. And it was a lot of yapping, that was for sure. But did you know that your characters also yap a lot too? And how they do so is also important? Of course you did. Dialogue is incredibly important. I don't think I could have fooled anybody with that question. Like, you can have a god tier character, plot, and setting, but if you got some whack ass dialogue, bro, it's not gonna work. Like, if the dialogue is bad, the story is gonna take a huge ass hit. And you can actually find some movies that have some interesting premises and like some cool ideas, and maybe the theme is good, but trash dialogue just tears it down. Like, bro, take a look at this.
Eating her. And then they're going to eat me. Oh my God!
Now, was that shit look good to you? Maybe it was. Maybe you found it funny like I did. But like, that shit, no. But you don't really see the reverse. When you have good dialogue, you have good writing. Good dialogue can straight up carry scenes. It can drive the conflict. It can push the plot. Like, so it's so important. So how do you study dialogue and stories? Now, the first thing you need to understand when you're trying to study dialogue is you gotta understand that dialogue is a tool for characters to get what they want. It's not just there just to yap. Now ask these questions. Do the characters have their own distinct way of talking? Dialogue, or at least good dialogue, comes from the soul. Like, what are these guys trying to get across with their words? If you're more interested in how to make good dialogue, like the video from me, and 10 likes, and then it's all I need, and then I got you. And also, like, how do they use... There's more than just dialogue and speaking as well. You can also, like, put in, like, not verbal, but, like, body language. Like, how are they trying to, like, their tone, and so on and so forth. But that right there is 5. The keys to be looking out for when trying to study any story or fiction: look for the themes, setting, characters, the conflict, and dialogue. Those are some of the most important concepts that you need to be looking out for and studying when you're looking at fiction. Now, if you're still struggling with this, on understanding the writing process, I've made a class for you. The link is in the description. I believe it has all the foundational instructions that one would need in order to be able to write any decent story, and gives you all the foundational tools. If you want to know how to write better character arcs, check this video right here.